All right, last one, Sun in the 11th house. So the 11th house is ruled by Saturn and Uranus. The traditional ruler of the 11th house is Saturn. The modern ruler is Uranus. Personally, I see both qualities in Aquarius because remember, Saturn is very strict, restricted, and Saturn is about accomplishment, goals, being stern, like knowing what you want and having that willpower type of energy. And Uranus is quirky, rebellious, unpredictable, doesn't go with tradition. So it's interesting to have an Aquarius, the energy of Aquarius, because I do believe we need to use both planets. Because, some astrologers will focus more on Uranus, some will focus more on Saturn. But Uranus and Saturn understand this. To me, it helps me understand this energy of Aquarius, of like, Aquarius can get things done, but they're going to do it in their own way. But sometimes you have Aquariuses who have that same no nonsense. This is how it's going to go. That's Saturn energy. This is how it's going to go, right? And Aquarius is interesting where sometimes they'll follow certain traditions or they'll follow certain things. Not things, but you know what I mean. They'll follow certain protocol, but then sometimes they won't because they're like, no, we need to do this a completely different way. And I'm willing to do that. So it's interesting, the energy of Aquarius. I see Saturn and Uranus in that, making them, the rulers of them. So 11th house Sun, I do have my blog up, so I might be referring to some of this, but 11th house Sun person. So the Sun is where you shine the most. It is where you can be noticed the most. It's not like Jupiter. Jupiter is like where you don't have to work that hard, right? Something that kind of comes to you. The Sun is what you need to project, right? Because naturally people are going to fall in line with that. When you project whatever that energy is in that Sun, naturally people are going to kind of notice you for that. And so this person is not really rigid, right? Aquarius energy is in this 11th house. So the Sun, even if the Sun is in another sign, this person always has a very interesting, unique way in which they go about life. If you someone with the Sun in the 11th house, even when they belong in groups, they're not going to go with the same thought process as everybody else. They're not going to follow things just because someone else said it. So you have a lot of individuality when we talk about the 11th house. It's very interesting because here's the thing. The 11th house is actually home to friendships, groups, associations, your friendship circles, forward thinking, right? So when we think about the description of 11th house, we tend to have, it's more of a Uranus energy to the 11th house when we talk about it. You see what I'm saying? Even though we know that this house has Saturn and Uranus influences. Now, 11th house is not necessarily Aquarius, but it has Aquarius energy here, which is why sometimes you can have the Sun 11th house person. They are different. They don't need to act like everyone else. They don't need to be like everyone else. It's not like the moon here, where the moon can take on the emotions of their group, right? The moon is reflective. The moon is about that inner connection, that emotional connection. The Sun here is like, I'm going to shine, and I might do things a different way than other people, and that is perfectly okay. Now, where you can have issues sometimes is the Sun wanting too much to shine or be noticed. So especially if you had something like Sun in Leo in the 11th house. Depending on other placements, could you have a person that too much wants to be seen in this group? In group dynamics, might say, I'm the most important, or I need to be seen, or I need to do things different. Because you could different. Sorry. So could you have a person with Sun 11th house who intentionally wants to be different? Yes, you can. And again, you would have to look at the whole placement, but this person knows how to accomplish things in unorthodox ways. And so there's a lack of fear. Because Saturn and Uranus energy is not about fear. Saturn is, this might be difficult. It's getting done anyway. Yeah, we can be patient and get it done. Uranus is, so there's a patience here. Sun in the 11th house person tends to be pretty patient. Now, again, you would have to look at the whole chart, but especially if they had like a Sun in Cancer, a Sun in Taurus, Sun in Virgo, right? You have a person that can probably be pretty patient when it comes to most things. Maybe even Sun in Libra, right? They're patient. They're able to wait because they know that things don't have to be rushed. Sometimes it could be a struggle because you can have a sign that is uncomfortable with being different. And now there's a battle trying to figure out how do I How do I allow myself to be different while also valuing these groups that I belong to? So 11th house sun person shines a lot in groups. So sometimes it can lead to someone not being as confident when they're not in a group, when they're not involved with something. They're not sure who they are, what they want to be. And so I think that it helps because you're so used to getting attention for that group. So this could be the person who gets a lot of attention for who they hung out with, right? Everyone knows somebody that in high school or college, we knew them because, oh, they're from that group or they're from that clique or those people all hang out together. Yeah, she's from this, he's from that. There's where you can have that. You can have even an athlete who stands out but is known because they were a part of a certain team, right? And so though you might even be noticed, it's always about being a part of something. And so the Sun 11th house person does have to learn how to also know who they are when they're not in this group setting, because it's good to get attention for that. And you might feel more comfortable when you're getting attention for being a part of a group, being a part of association, being a part of something, right? Sometimes it gives you the attention you might be afraid to have on your own. And I don't think that's just a Sun and 11th house person. I think a lot of people can relate to that. A lot of people might feel comfortable in groups, organizations. By organizations, I can mean a religious group. It can mean a spiritual group. It can mean fraternities, sororities. If you were a part of Greek organizations in college, for some people, it could be a mother who's a part of the PTA and she's like really hardcore into that. The 11th house Sun person is going to find a way to be a part of something. Something they're going to be a part. It could be an online community as well. The 11th house is also deals with technology. Uranus is linked to technology. So your 11th house sun person could also be someone who's known for something in the tech world or in technology or online groups or things of that nature. You definitely can have somebody who's like an influencer or somebody who's known for something that they do online, right? But again, who are you outside of that? Who are you outside of that? They're very forward thinking though. 11th house sun people are forward thinking. So they don't just follow what society says should be done. They understand that you have to change things sometimes. And they don't mind being that change. They don't mind. They don't mind being like, well, I'll try this. Well, I'll do this. Remember that's Saturn type of influence. So sometimes Aquarius energy, and again, I'm not talking about the sign of Aquarius, but I'm saying, so the 11th house can take on either Aquarius, Capricorn type energy or Aquarius type energy, where we have somebody who's like very fortified, like I'm doing this no matter what type of goal, but also Uranus, which is rebellion. We don't have to do it the same way we've always done it. Why don't we try it this way? Hey, nobody else is doing this. Why don't we try this, right? So, with the 11th house, that tends to be what you have. It could be a great placement for shining in groups, a great placement for being involved in something bigger than yourself and seeing where you fit within that. You should be in part, wherever your sun is, you should be a part of these things. I'm not at all saying you shouldn't be and that you have to, you don't know who you are. It's just be careful of over-identifying with the group and not tapping into other things, because it can be intoxicating to get attention from groups. You know what I mean? It can be intoxicating for people to be like, oh yeah, I'm a part of this and this is my clique and this is my group, or, even in adulthood, you know what I mean? Like even in adulthood, there's people that feel more comfortable in groups and cliques, whoever they hang out with, where they go hang out at. Everybody knows them for this type of, setting that they're in. But then when that isn't available, they're stuck. I don't know who I am without this, And so I always say, when you indulge on a house, where's the opposite house? The opposite house, the 11th, is the 5th house. The 5th house deals with talent, your own talent, your hobbies, what you do for fun, what you like to do, what are you interested in, is the 5th house, which is across from the 11th house. So if you're overindulging in that identity of groups and belonging, you would go here. And it's not always groups and belonging. Sometimes the 11th house, some person can indulge so much in like conspiracies and trying to fix society and trying to change society up and not focusing on their own personal life and what personally would make them feel good. So again, everything in life is about balance. But that was basically it. I just wanted to make sure I wrapped up this Sun Through the Houses series with the 11th house sun.